Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
She gives us too much content. Welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It's August 20th, 2024, and this is episode 79. 79.
That's right. We're getting older every time we do one. I swear. Hello? Who's there?
We've almost caught up to Uncle Joe's age. 79. Lordy. I've got underwear older than that. Anyway, how was your weekend? How were things? We were gone last week, by the way. I've gotten several notices from people going, hey, there was no episode 79. Well, here it is, folks. We have episode 79 this week. We forgot to tell you.
The reason there isn't one is because there wasn't one until now that we're doing one.
We forgot to tell you we were taking last week off. Even though there was lots of content that was going around out there, I had to.
We forgot to mention it on the show. Oops.
Yeah.
Hey, watch our promos. Come on, keep up, people. I made one for it.
That's true. That's true. I was out of the country, though. So
yeah, we're out of the country. You and Muffin were on having a wonderful time. Anyway,
yes, we were. I eat steak every day. It was really, it was great for a skinny guy. So.
Now we. Excuse me, we were going to go up to, I guess it's the middle of Idaho up in the mountains. And Mother Nature said, yeah, I don't think we want you up here. And a bunch of thunder and lightning storms went through in the mountains where there are the trees that are highly flammable in August, shall we say.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, where we wanted to go, the town and stuff that she was talking about going to was you couldn't see less than a mile because of the smoke in the air. It was just nasty. And we've just gone through that down here where a fire that wasn't far from here. 2 different fires came into our area. So we didn't travel anywhere, but we did go. She chose a very nice Italian restaurant. It was so good. We were there and they treated us like we were family.
What's the matter, you? Why you looking so sad? It's not so bad. It's a nicer place. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyhow, it was called the Stuffed Olive. So
okay.
It was delicious. Had some spicy meat, the sauce, and a meatball, and on a panettone. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. It's the big, fat noodles. I liked it because I don't like angel hair pasta.
Oh, that's what Barbara likes too. You put a little bit of mozzarella on it. It's a fine.
Oh, it was so good. I ate. We had all kinds of different appetizers. They had a Italian soup, and it wasn't.
Not the minestrone.
It wasn't minestrone. It was kind of a spicy tomato-based soup with bacon in it.
Oh, I don't think
oh my Lord! We shared it with everybody. Here, you got a spoon? Here you go. We just we were trying stuff. So you got olives. We had the soup. My buddy got some fried calamari. The ladies didn't. Neither one of them went. Oh, that's from a. Oh, yeah, no, we're not eating that.
Calamari is fantastic.
Mike and I snarfed it down.
How do you not like Barbara doesn't like calamari. She doesn't like the idea that it's squid. It's the same thing.
That's what the lady's problem was.
I love it. It's fantastic. It's like clams.
And it wasn't just the tentacles. They had breaded this, and it was kind of the meat of stuff.
Oh,
so they were like half again, a little bit bigger than a chicken nugget. Oh, and wow. the sauce and stuff they had. Whoa, man, it was good.
Normally, like a lot of them look like Cheerios. You know, they're like,
yeah. This was not just the tentacles. It was from the squid, and it was meat.
Did it taste different, or is it about the same flavor as the tentacles?
It's kind of along that line, but it was extremely tender. They cooked it to perfection. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it can get chewy. Yeah, if you don't cook it correctly. Yeah.
And then I took my car in, and all the fun of the week just went right down the toilet. My car's been kind of grinding, and I was thinking, well, maybe it's a crappy CVT transmission that good old Nissan put out. And that's not what it was. So actually, that's a yay, but still not cheap, but not as expensive. The front wheel bearings were. Ugh. They wouldn't even let me take it home and then bring it back when the parts come in. They go, no, I'm not letting you drive that. He goes, no. So my buddy came down. We went and had breakfast. There you go. Had a nice place that just, man, we were stuffed for $10. And took me back down, and that's when he said, yeah, no, we're not letting you in. He said, we got to get the parts in. He said, I'm hoping you'll have it by Wednesday, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, $1,200 to replace the front wheel bearings.
Jeez. Yeah, Barbara and I'm sorry, Chris and Corinne have had issues with their car, and it's just been hard to figure out what's wrong with it. It's a Ford. I mean, it's just, these just newer vehicles, 2017, especially the big three here in America, they just don't make cars like they used to. They just don't. None of them.
Fortunately, the trucks have been a little better, but they've had some issues. They went cheap on the trucks for a little bit too, and their sales tanked, and they went, let's make them good again. Yeah. I've got a 1999 Ford F-250 4x4 super cab long bed. How's that for a title for a truck? It's only got 280,000 miles on it. It's a V10, and that thing, I just touch the starter and it fires up when it even sets for 4 or 5 months.
You may just barely have broke her in. So
yeah, it has treated me very well, and I didn't pay a whole lot for it. So
awesome. Well, hey, we got a lot to get to here. The speech writing for these candidates, I guess, is way overrated. I think with the Harris campaign, you write one, and you're good for several stops. For example, in Wisconsin and Michigan, this is a clip from her speeches side by side, and we're going to call this new segment.
It's Auntie Kamala's Wisdom of the Week.
It really is good to be back in Wisconsin. It is so good to be back in Michigan. Listen, let me tell you, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. Tim has an incredible record as governor of the great state of Minnesota. And as you just heard, he has an incredible record as governor of the great state of Minnesota. And to his former high school football players, he was coach. And to his former high school football players, he was coach. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds and had a summer job at McDonald's.
Well, at least she's inflecting on different. Somebody on the campaign just learned how to copy and paste, is what I'm thinking.
I think she was did something similar in Arizona as well.
I think so too.
Shortly thereafter, and it's like, really, wow, they just keep. And he's got an incredible record in Minnesota. It's not one that you really want to have as an incredible record, but he's got one.
He's got one for sure. He probably should be in jail for some of that. But you open up the windows just to smell the burning tires from the summer of 2020. His wife said in an interview. I'm thinking, what is wrong with these people? Anyway, she did do a little more copy and pasting. This time, it was from the Mino Orange Man.
When I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips.
When I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Hospitality. I think she meant hospitality, but it could be.
Well, I do have a question. You're in office now. Why don't you do it now? You just sicked the IRS on all these people going, they are not reporting all their tips. We need their money. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there was that recently, but all of a sudden, how come you changed? Because that's not what you said a little bit ago.
Because that's something else that they put in. That's why they hired those 87,000 IRS agents. They implemented, I think it's going to affect you and I because we get paid, I get paid a lot through PayPal for my voiceover work. So it's like if you make anything over $600 a year, which I do, then that's going to be all taxed, where previously that had never been taxed. The PayPal was never considering anything that you got. It could be your son sending you money, or you could be your neighbor giving you money back that you let him borrow. Now you're going to have to pay taxes on that, or somehow, I don't even know how that would work, prove that it was not income. But if it's more than $600 and it's through Venmo or PayPal or whatever.
Well, it's Venmo, and my youngest daughter is on our phone plan because we get to have the old folks plan on T-Mobile, and all you need is one senior, and the rest of everybody else who's on the plan gets the same price. So, but she's been on our plan for years. Well, when we were with Sprint, she could pay her portion directly to Sprint. Wasn't a problem. The T-Mobile's going, no, you got to pay it. Got to go on auto pay, blah, blah. I don't have a problem with it. And I just did that. And I said, hey, just send it to me once every month on Venmo.
Yeah.
Well, $60 every month.
Yeah, even in 10 months, you hit that $600 threshold. And hey, and I'm not even a community college graduate, and I came up with that one.
Wow, you are quick.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
you know, it's what happens when your underwear fits correctly and things aren't. I did remember to wear them today. But I do think that they just don't even think about what they've done previously. You know, she's changed her mind on so many things, and and we do have the internet, so we've got all these things we can bring back up and throw in her face. I think that Tim Walz is the same way. I wanted to kind of dig into him. We just didn't have enough time in our show today, but we're going to dig into him in subsequent episodes because he is worth looking at a little bit closer than maybe what these people are trying to paint him as, this typical Midwest guy, just a salt of the earth, camel hat wearing. He is not any of those things. No. Command Sergeant Major, my big foot. And anyway, we have one more from Auntie Kamala talking about, in her opinion, the ridiculous war on drugs.
I'm going to get mad when we have an attorney general who is trying to resuscitate the war on drugs.
Yes, can we talk?
And he thinks the greatest evil that mankind has ever seen is marijuana.
It's big.
Like, I've said this, and you've seen this in my emails. Yeah. Leave grandma's medical marijuana alone. Just leave it alone.
So...
Oh, the laugh gets me every time.
It's not how she felt about it when she was in California.
Sure isn't. As Attorney
When
General,
she was the Attorney General there,
she convicted almost 2,000 people on marijuana-related charges, and lots of them ended up in prison. We got a clip from Megyn Kelly here in a second. Maybe she just changed her mind on that, like fracking and all that other thing. But another story that seems that she stole is one that she told to Jimmy Fallon, and. Oh my gosh! Here's Megyn Kelly reporting on that theft.
Her appearance on the Jimmy Fallon show, she told this story about what it was like being raised, by the way, by Marxists. Her parents were Marxists. We're doing a deep dive for the audience. And here's what she claimed.
My mother used to have a very funny story about I was fussing and she said, Kamala, what do you want? And I said, freedom.
No. Oh, come on.
It was a much cuter story when she would tell it.
Sharp-eyed readers noticed the uncanny similarities in that story to the one that MLK told during a January 1965 interview with Playboy magazine, where he says, I will never forget a moment in Birmingham when a white police officer accosted a little Negro girl, quoting here, 7 or 8 years old, who was walking in a demonstration with her mother. What do you want? The policeman asked her gruffly, and the little girl looked at him straight in the eye and answered, feed him. She's a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will remember that. What part of the internet is now available where everybody and their dog can go back, and that sounds familiar, and go back and find that?
Yeah, exactly. And anybody who paid, well, I guess she figures everybody's 40 or younger, and that she just doesn't. She doesn't feel like she has to.
Well, they're
worry about
stupid.
it.
She's already said that.
But again, the complicit media are not going to report on this. Only people like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and us are ever going to bring this stuff up. So, and we think enough of our listeners to kind of give this to you that it's like, you're not going to hear this when you watch the nightly news. You're not going to hear that she's stealing these things or even copy and pasting her own messages. You go on a stump speech. Think about President Trump. I mean, like him or hate him, he is everything is off the cuff, and he's normally on point. I still think that if he's stuck to the narrative of let's work on the economy, this is what I'm going to do for the economy because this is what I did before. This is what I'm going to do on crime because this is what I did before, and this is what I did on the border and fixing that because this is what I did before. If he focused on that and that alone and let the Democrats kind of blow themselves up, he would be golden. I think he'd win by 15 percentage points.
Well, he's doing better in his speeches and not being quite as disparaging as I think he was the last time around. But by the same token, the left is using the exact same speech of, he's going to do this and he's going to do that. Same exact things they said he was going to do when he was president for 4 years the last time, of which he did none of what they said he was going to do.
He sure didn't. But it's like people just don't remember. Everybody's got a short memory. Everybody's got their cell phones in their hands, and they completely forget. They're worried about, they're playing Candy Crush, and they're not worried about what's happening. It's like, they forget everything 5 seconds after it's been told. They got the attention span of a gnat. It just drives me crazy. Anyway, we're up against the break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Kamala Harris and her supporters and why they're going to vote for her. And they're having a hard time coming up with an answer.
It's hilarious.
Hang in there. We'll be right back.
More of the Stay Off My Lawn podcast is coming up.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be, unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. You think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
Stupid old button. Anyway, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2, and we are. There's these interviews that they were. I think they were in a mall for a lot of this, and I think they were outside for the second part of this clip. But they were asking Kamala Harris supporters why they were going to vote for Kamala, and this is, I guess, how brainwashed mind works, or ceases to. I guess it depends on how you're looking at it. But this is a little bit of a long clip, but it tells everything.
Why are y'all voting for Kamala Harris?
I don't want to lose my rights. Like, I'm a trans man and I'm gay and I have been pregnant and I've had an abortion before and I don't want to lose that. I'm afraid of not being able to be myself anymore, because from what I've heard, Trump's America doesn't want me to look like this. So,
like, I'm very,
alternative.
And I feel like if Trump were to win, I wouldn't be able to, like, express myself through my looks and everything, and wouldn't be able to have the piercings or the dyed hair or the tattoos that I want. I would be able to be myself. And my dad's very pro-Trump, and I'm just very
Pro-Kamala.
pro-Kamala. Yeah, I don't,
They probably wouldn't have accommodations for someone like me, especially given that I like women as a woman. I want to keep access to my bank accounts. I would like to keep making money. I don't want to be some man's object. I really don't. It's the whole thing with Project 2025 is terrifying. I read through some of it and it was just insane.
No,
it's bad.
No, you didn't.
Why are y'all voting for Kamala Harris?
It's ridiculous how anymore it's really hard for people like us, like queer people, and it's just really hard for us to get rights. And with how the Republicans are handling everything, it's just putting more and more stress on us, like basically taking away everything we have. And it's just important that we feel safe just even living here, because everyone's been wanting to leave the country, and this is the only chance we have to properly fix everything.
Why are you voting for Kamala Harris?
Because she is the woman that we need right now.
Is there any specific policies or anything that really makes you vote for her?
I just believe in her. I believed in her when I lived in California, and I still believe in her now.
Because she's all about the middle class. She's like us, and Trump is bad. That's just...
Trump's bad?
She's everything we're looking for. She is. She's just everything we're looking for.
The cat ladies for Kamala. So can you kind of explain that to me?
Well, I think you got it right there. I don't need to go any further than that.
Are you a cat lady for Kamala?
I am a cat lady for Kamala, obviously.
Who do you plan to vote for?
Kamala.
Kamala. And why?
I kind of just agree more with her policies that she has ideas for, and she's not a felon.
Like what? First of all, a trans man, gay, and had an abortion? Wow, that's a combination I just did not expect.
It's I can't make enough X's and Y's to make that work.
I only went to community college. I have no idea what that means.
What? What rights are you losing? You're not losing any rights. You have the same rights as any other American. Everybody has the same rights. So what the hell are you talking about? And then obviously, I saw it on the box that they told me we're supposed to like her because I really like her a lot.
She's a female, right? Right? Trump's going to take away your piercings and tattoos? Are you serious?
Only if he's got a strong enough magnet when you're going through the airport. You might not want to have that in.
Just saying. That's actually a pretty good idea. And Project 2025. Oh my gosh. This is something we were talking about off the air, and it's 900 pages. We have not. I can tell you right now, I have not read it all. I've read through some of it. I have looked at the bullet points, and we actually have some bullet points for you. But the propagandists are counting on you not to read it, not to at least check it out. It's agenda2025.org, I think it is. Let me see here.
Yes, it's project2025.org.
Yes, project2025.org. So,
no, Trump has not sanctioned this. This is not his. His is what is it? Project 47.
Yes, Project 47.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
There's some similarities, but I mean, but he didn't have anything to do with it. And contrary to popular belief, they said that J.D. Vance was part of creating Project 2025. That's untrue also. So, because there's a list. You go to that website, it is very extensive. You can read the whole thing there. Like I said, it's 900 pages. I've read through some of it. There are bullet points on the front page. And there's also credits for everybody that had anything to do with developing Project 20. And the Heritage Foundation comes out with this every 4 years of the election. This is not a new thing. They've been doing this for quite a while now. just what they think the conservative agenda should be moving forward. Does everybody have? No, nobody agrees on everything all the time anyway, especially conservatives.
And I would say probably 80% of what the left is saying is in Project 25 is not.
No.
It's like there's not even a bullet point covering that. No. What in the are you talking about?
There's even a tab on the website that takes you to debunk all the lies that have been told. I mean, it's extensive. I mean, it's pages and pages. It even goes to, left-wing organizations like, I believe there's Snopes in there, but PolitiFact. I mean, they actually come through and say, that's untrue. This is not in Project 2025. So if you believe the propaganda that Project 2025 is taking away women's rights to health care or whatever it is you think you perceive that it's going to be taken away from you, it's not in there. It's just not. But we do have some bullet points we want to go through. I'll start off here. Number 1 is secure the border, finish building the wall, and deport illegal aliens.
Don't have a problem with that. Yep. Then you have de-weaponize the federal government by increasing accountability and oversight of the FBI and the DOJ.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're a Democrat or Republican, how can you disagree with that? We don't want that kind of stuff weaponized. Unleash American energy production to reduce energy prices, which is what we had previously during the Trump administration.
We were independent energy country.
Yeah.
So and that's a problem. That's how come our fuel was less. That's how come we didn't have inflation. Everything is at the moment predicated off of oil.
Yep.
And you can't say, we got to stop it for the cars. If you are reading stuff with glasses, they're made from plastic. Guess what plastic is made with?
You're talking a phone. It's all in there, and you're drinking a bottle of water. Yeah, I mean, just think about it, people. Just think. That's all we want.
The dashboard in your car, most of them are plastic.
Yeah.
Cut the growth of government spending to reduce inflation. Wow. Just common sense, people. Get rid of all this bloat that is just once a project or a program has started, they never get rid of it. Some of them need to go away.
That's National Economics 101. If you don't want inflation, you stop printing extra money that we don't actually have anything backing it up, and just quit doing that and quit spending money you don't have. If I ran my checkbook like the government runs theirs, I'd be out on my butt. A
lot of people are, because we're over $1 trillion in credit card debt, and all of a sudden companies are going, nobody's buying our stuff, and they're cutting prices, and they're trying to get you to just buy something of it, because people have finally hit that point where there's no more room left on the credit card. And how are they going to feed their families? I don't know. I know, as being a retired folks, it's been a little difficult.
Mm-hmm. And we are getting to a tipping point because people have maxed out their credit cards. And if you do that, then there's nothing left. If you can't make your monthly bills without using your credit card, eventually something's got to give. And I think we're at that point pretty close. Anyway, and I think if Trump gets reelected, he's going to get the blame for it, unfortunately. But that is kind of the way it goes.
Oh, that's the way the media works.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to get rid of them too.
Yeah, no doubt. Is it my turn? Is it yours?
Yes, it's make federal.
Yeah. Another bullet point is make federal bureaucrats more accountable to the democratically elected president and Congress. I think federal bureaucrats have way too much power in Washington, D.C., and that should go away.
The unelected bureaucrats, you betcha.
Yeah.
They're making policies that the Constitution says, no, you don't have any rights to make those laws and stuff.
Yep.
They are suggestions. They are things that maybe might want to think about, but they're not laws.
Nope.
They can't make them.
Definitely not.
Then you want to improve education by moving control and funding of education from D.C. bureaucrats directly to parents and state and local governments.
Yep.
That's their area. You're in that state. They should know best what's going on.
and I haven't read through this part, but I would imagine this concludes the voucher system, which will allow you to send your kids to whatever school you want them to send to. Now, people that will come back and say, well, you're going to end up with segregation that way. I don't believe it works that way. I don't think you're going to end up with all the whites in this school and all the blacks in this school and all the Hispanics. I don't think it's going to work that way. I think we have evolved as a society, at least here in the Southeast where I live. Man, everybody gets along fine. We were on a cruise ship last week, and it's like everybody from up north seemed like they just had, because everybody's out of school still up north, but we just had, it was just, you could just see there was animosity between people. It was kind of weird. And you could tell other Southerners on the ship that it's like, we were all happy, and everybody from all colors and all backgrounds, everybody got along just fine. And it's like there was just anger from a lot of these people from up north. It's just the Northeast specifically is just really weird. So I mean, maybe up there it would happen like that, but I know around here the voucher system would benefit everybody. So anyway. I'll get off my...
And then you got the last one.
Oh, do I have the last one? Okay. The last bullet point is to ban biological males from competing in women's sports. I find nothing wrong with any of these things. All these things are, if you call yourself a conservative, how do you argue with any of that?
Yeah, and there's the deal down here at the bottom that's talking about in the news on July 30. Yes, I'm all about July 31st, I swear. July 31st, 2024. PolitiFact, which is what you were talking about. No, this 2021 video does not show Trump's VP pick, J.D. Vance, endorsing Project 2025.
It didn't exist yet.
It has been by PolitiFact, who is not a right-wing organization, says it's false on the truth-o-meter that they have down there. Yeah. They also have in the news on July 30th of it's not as hoity-toity as the 31st. On the 30th of 2024. PolitiFact Project 2025 would not end gay marriage. I'm so tired of hearing, and my rights as a no, your rights aren't going anywhere.
Nope.
They're not.
Just
stop it.
Just stop it. Exactly. But I mean, if you just read, we see these people, especially on
they don't read. It's all feelings.
On social media.
Nothing more than you don't want to hear that.
And we were talking off the air also that these pseudo intellectuals that will read one sentence out of something and they'll fill in all the rest with their imagination and say this is what it says, and they'll take everything out of context. And it's like there's so many pseudo intellectuals. I am certainly not an intellectual, so I can't be a pseudo one. But I mean, at least
I can't find a pseudo that would fit. So,
I can't either.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've got that bunion on my foot. It doesn't work. But we've talked about this. Like we've learned. We still are learning people. I mean, if you can see yourself in the correct context, then you know you're not that smart. None of you are. I don't care how many degrees you are. None of you are smart enough to where you can sit back and rest on your laurels and not learn something new every day. Read something before you spout off about it. That's all I'm asking.
We learn every day, learn something new. That is something I've always tried to do is continually learning, even at my advanced age, learning new stuff all the time.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, we have to do this before we go to break. No. I want to hear this. Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert had a moment on his show that was actually kind of funny last week. He was
it was hilarious.
He was interviewing CNN's Caitlin Collins. If you remember, she interviewed Trump, and it was very, very nasty. And anyway,
combative. Let's just say it was a tad combative. She was not a nice person.
That's the word. Anyway, it was a inadvertent. It's sort of like Our Lady of Inadvertent Flatulence. It was inadvertent, but it was funny.
He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. No, I know. CNN makes a... I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
I guess it is.
And this is in New York, people. These are New Yorkers that, you're objective. No, we all know that's a crock of El Crapo.
And you don't go and sit and listen to a Colbert show unless you're a lib anyway. And and they still found it funny. I think that's okay. Now, of course,
it was not a small portion of the audience.
No,
it was probably
everybody.
Better than it was a rather hearty chuckle.
All 25 people in the audience probably laughed. Colbert is not known to be unbiased, and it really shines through during this monologue recently that he had given. This is what unbiased sounds like. Listen.
Yesterday, a Reuters Ipsos poll had Vice President Kamala Harris leading former President Donald Trump 44 to 42.
And he danced for like another 30 seconds, which is he's extremely Caucasian.
That doesn't play well on the radio, so we're not going to air that part.
It was terrible. I'll give you that much. But
and it wasn't tap dancing, so you can't hear it.
No. We're up against another break. When we come back, we're going to look more at the Harris campaign and her economic agenda. She actually came out with a couple of things, and we'll debunk some of that stuff.
Okay. It's kind of like, what?
She tried. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Guests on the Stay Off My Lawn podcast stay at the luxurious Motel 6, right off I-75 on Highway 20.
When there's a lot of ground to cover and the sunlight begins to slip away, American farmers turn to John Deere for solutions. With faster, more efficient equipment than anything else on the horizon, you get food to American families, and John Deere will get you back to yours in time for supper.
I've been called a behind before. Welcome.
Not really in those words, though.
The word behind wasn't used. Welcome back to Stay Off.
None of those.
Welcome back to segment 3, this whole Stay Off My Lawn show thing. We want to look at
hold on your enthusiasm for it, will you? Just, that overt jumping up and down while you're speaking is just terrible.
And we're back. Anyway, let's look at the Harris campaign has said about her economic agenda. She has said now that she is going to cap insulin at $35, or she did, or they did, or they're going to, capping insulin at $35 a month. This was actually done by Trump in early 2022. Early 2020, which was...
Thank you. There was no 2.
Yeah, there was no 2. But so, I mean, this has been debunked many, many times. It doesn't seem to bother them. They keep throwing out there that Trump is going to do this and that, and that he didn't do the first 4 years. Why would he do it now? Anyway, her second thing is she's going to give a tax credit of $6,000 for families with a newborn. I can get along with that mostly. Actually, J.D. Vance came out and said that he wanted to do it for $5,000. And of course, the media criticized the crap out of him. How are you going to pay for that? And of course, she says it. Oh, it's just wonderful. She cares about us.
She found money that's not going to hurt anything except for taxpayers who are already strapped to the gills with taxes.
I know. Be still my heart. She thinks she's wonderful. And she wants to give this is a big one. She wants to give first-time home buyers $25,000 towards their down payment, because their runaway inflation has made down payments, because down payments is a percentage of what the actual selling price of the house, which everything goes up when everything is inflated, and 5% or 10% down is a lot more than it used to be because everything's inflated. Anyway, I think that's quite a bit of money to give away.
Well, I guess that could be close to 5% down, but when you're talking average home in America now is just under $400,000. That's the average home in all of the states. 25,000 isn't going to it's going to like Here, kid, call someone who cares. Here's a quarter. Shh. Yeah, now go away. Beat it. Stop bothering me, will you?
I did hear on the radio, we were on our way home from Florida, and it said that some bank in Tampa, I think it was, that they're actually only requiring a 3% down payment now. Heck, it was only a few years ago. They wanted 10% if you had a standard mortgage. So, so the banks are actually giving a little bit on this too. And really, if you let free markets do what they do, then it'll take care of itself. But one more thing, worst of all, she wants to put a federal ban on price gouging, or the way she put it is gauging, of groceries. And grocery stores have notoriously the lowest margin. I think the last thing I read was that grocery stores have a profit margin of normally 1.5%. They do not
1.5% to 2% at the max.
Yep. So they don't have a lot of room to move anyway, but they want to bring out this whole corporate greed, because, stores and corporations only learned about greediness back since Biden took office, which, let's get greedy. It totally makes sense. They never thought of that before.
Let's get greedier. We're going to get, well, I'm just in a singing mood today.
Why do you keep singing to me?
I don't know. That just came to mind. So somebody wanted to talk, and so I opened my mouth, and that's what came out.
This whole price fixing, or whatever she wants to call it. They call it price fixing, price controls, gauging.
Does not work.
It doesn't work. It's very worrisome. It's been tried before, by those people, what are they called? Socialists. That's what they're called.
Socialists. And even a Republican tried it when I am not a crook. See, somebody else wanted to talk. What can I do?
Nixon that's a great point. Nixon put that in. I just read about this the other day. Nixon put that in 1971, and by 73, it was such a freaking failure that he had to withdraw the whole thing. So yeah, the Republicans are just as guilty of this. But this dates back to the Roman Empire. This goes back to Diocletian, that he did this back 1,700 years ago, and the French revolutionists tried it. They called it the law of maximums. It led to famines every time it's been tried. And of course, people you and I, our age, can remember seeing pictures of the Soviet Union with people standing in line waiting to get food and bread and all that stuff. It's been Soviet Union put it in place, I don't know how many times of this, especially in groceries. And it always came across as like, we're doing the right thing because we care about you. We just care.
Yeah. Doesn't work. And you can care to not eat too. I mean, there's always that. Because if you start trying to do that to grocery stores, then by the time you take it off, the grocery stores are empty. I remember when there was a run on the grocery store when just before the pandemic, we have a discount store similar to like an Aldi. It's called Winco.
Okay.
And I stepped it off. I measured it, went in to go get, we were getting groceries and went over to the dairy aisle, 75 feet of nothing.
Oh boy.
There wasn't milk, there wasn't eggs, there wasn't low fat. There was one little cart that had a few little like coffee creamer that's not even cream. That's all there was in 75 feet.
Incredible.
So you know what? You're going to see the whole damn store look like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the prices of things, and I understand there is such a thing as price gouging. I remember in 96, when we had the Olympics in Atlanta. Now, I live 50 miles from Atlanta, so you wouldn't think that would really affect us. I mean, it's well over an hour's drive considering the traffic down that way. But we have a littlest roach motel right off the interstate up here, and I don't want to say the name of it. It's a national brand. But, I always assumed it probably got rented out by the hour sometimes, and you can make your own assumptions on that. But I remember
leave the light on for you. Anyway,
the big sign out, it was on the interstate, said, and this is 30 years ago almost, it was $19.99 a night. And while the Olympics were here, they were charging $250 a night.
Okay, that's price gouging. It's price gouging, but it's supply and demand at the same time.
People needed it, and it was 50 miles away. If you needed to come out this far, you were desperate enough to pay $250 for something that didn't have a fitted sheet. But anyway, you did what you had to do. But I mean, that's price gouging. What we're seeing now today in the grocery stores, again, if you look at their bottom line and their balance sheet, you're not seeing them making huge profits off of this 1.5% to 2% margin. They're just, the grocery stores are not. I remember Biden talking about this at the beginning, after he took office during the pandemic, saying that you need to lower your prices. Well, it's not their fault. The gas prices were through the roof, so they had to pay extra money for the stuff to get to the grocery store. That's just part of the way it works.
The oil companies are gouging. They'll reduce it. You're trying to get rid of the oil companies. You think they want to work with you?
You've created
You
this
cut off the
animosity.
pipeline. You stopped drilling. You stopped all that stuff, and it's called supply and demand. I know a gentleman, I think Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or I can't remember what he wrote, something similar to that. He's a very wealthy individual, and he goes, this is stupid. He goes, I deal a lot in oil, and when they cut off that pipeline, before they cut it off, I was only getting like $30, $35 a barrel. They cut that pipeline off and stopped the process that was going to run oil down, and oil went to 130. He said, I made out like a bandit. I didn't do anything.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but you bring that up to people, they say, well, the president doesn't have anything to do with gas prices. Indirectly,
this one
he
did.
certainly does.
A lot he did.
Yeah, indirectly he does. I mean, but people don't want to think that deeply about it because it's too difficult. They just, they lack the brain power or something. I don't know.
You can't research what what is this thing you speak of?
Yeah, you gotta just try to read a little bit. One of our favorite people, Tulsi Gabbard, Trump actually enlisted her to help him prep for the debate. When is that debate? It's September 10th? Something like that. It's early September anyway. I don't remember.
It's the first week of September.
Yeah. And
it's like coming up in like 2 weeks. I want to say it's September 5th. I'm not going to swear to it. One moment while I access that information, please.
We should have
continue talking, and I'll see if I can come up with something.
We should have some great clips from that. But anyway, I don't remember we were talking off the air or whether we were on the air, but I'm going to reiterate it. I still think Tulsi Gabbard would have been the best running mate for Trump by far. I think she's smart. She's got the military ties. She's a lieutenant colonel, obviously. And she understands. She's been deployed 3 times. She understands stuff. She's very, very smart. She's easy on the eyes. Everything that you would want in a running mate, I would think. I mean, and she's an ex-Democrat. She understands the mind of somebody who leans a little bit more left. Of course, she doesn't anymore. I think she's kind of seen the light now. She doesn't necessarily lean that way. But anyway, Tulsi is no fan of Kamala, if you remember the debate back in 2020. But she had posted this the other day.
Go back to the 2020 presidential primary. I challenged Kamala Harris on the debate stage about her record. She was the former Attorney General for California. She said she was proud of her record on criminal justice. And so I asked her some very simple and obvious questions when she was in a position to actually bring about real reforms.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite. She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
She had no answer for her record on how ultimately she made decisions that hurt people.
Yeah, if you remember, and I don't have that clip, but if you remember, Kamala was asked about marijuana use when she was a kid. Of course, I'll be the first one to tell you. I think I smoked it about 7 times. It was always passed my way, and it was the last time I touched it was 1982. But she kind of laughed at this, and this is after she was a prosecutor in California and put those 1,500 people in jail for marijuana possession. She laughed about it and said that, well, my dad's from Jamaica. What do you think? Type attitude. It was like, oh my gosh. So anyway.
Yes, laughing about that and just like, we put people in prison and they shouldn't have been there, but whatever. And by the way, they have moved the debate. Trump's original date would have been September 4th, and they were going to work that out with Kamala Harris's people. Well, it's been moved to September 10th.
Okay.
And I just clicked on USA Today, and they go, and there's a quote in there, in quotes, it says, well, assuming Donald Trump actually shows up on September 10th to debate Vice President Harris, like he's afraid of her. Trump ain't afraid of nobody. Then Governor Walz will see J.D. Vance on October 1st, and the American people will have another opportunity to see the vice president and Donald Trump on the debate stage in October. The campaign wrote. This is Harris's campaign. They don't ask or talk to Trump's campaign. This is where they're getting their information from.
I think early voting starts pretty soon. I think Pennsylvania is one of the first states that starts it off.
Seriously?
But I think it does. Yeah. And so it's like having a debate in October. A lot of people may have already voted by then. I mean, what do I know? Mine's smarter than mine have come up with this schedule, I guess. But speaking of Tulsi, she has openly criticized Uncle Joe and Auntie Kamala, and there has been some retaliation from the feds. Believe it or not, we were talking about this on Agenda 2025, keeping the DOJ and the FBI in check. Talk about the checka, but she was talking. She was talking to Laura Ingraham just recently about what happened to her.
Americans. Here's Gabbard describing what happened to her.
Laura, this is a clear act of political retaliation. There's no other way to put it. You laid out the sequence of events the very next day after my conversation with you on the air, warning the American people about how dangerous a Kamala Harris presidency would be. I was placed on this domestic terror watch list, which is called the Quiet Skies list under the Department of Homeland Security. The clear pain and real visceral hurt that comes from this is, as you mentioned, like many Americans, I enlisted because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11, to go after the Islamist terrorists who attacked us on that day, and to now have my own government now turn around and put me on a domestic terror watch list. It hits to the core and is the ultimate sense of betrayal. But we look at why they are doing this. It has a chilling effect.
It's a slap in the face. I hate it for her. But it's pure retaliation from the DOJ or from the administration. So,
and all the money they're spending, keeping an eye on her, putting extra, what are they called? Marshals, air marshals on the planes that she gets on. And it's just stupid.
It is just stupid. I mean, she is, I don't know. They hate her because she's so smart. I think that's the bottom line. Anyway, we're up against a break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the DNC thing that got underway yesterday and some of the stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing, all right.
That convention in Chicago. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, but we'll talk about that here in just a second. So hang in there.
This is the Stay Off My Lawn show and podcast. The grumpy old men you know and love. We'll be right back.
You got a hankering to see some lightly diseased farm animals while dangling from a Ferris wheel? Then head on down to the Westchester County Fair. Our carnival rides were voted least rickety and most assembled 3 years running. And all of our carnival workers have 8 or more fingers. That's the Westchester guarantee. Plus, our porta-johns are extra deep to accommodate mountains of partially digested corn dogs, barbecue fat patties, and hog fried buffalo necks. The Westchester County Fair. Come before 9 a.m. every Saturday to get a complimentary kissing horse.
Welcome back.
We have to talk about, the the thing.
That thing, yes. Welcome back to segment 4. We're almost done. Woohoo!
Yay!
Stay off my
Breakfast
lawn.
time.
I gotta go see my oncologist. Tim and I have a thing. So the DNC got underway yesterday, and along with there were some pro-Palestinian protesters. I don't know if you saw this. They were chanting "Killer Kamala." That's not very nice. I mean, who comes up with this stuff? But anyway, there is a Planned Parenthood set up. They set up a mobile abortion and vasectomy place and a bus that you can go in there and kind of, I guess, either way, you go in there and put your feet in the stirrups, with male or female. I mean, it's gender fluid.
Are you going to want to be at the convention and go in and get your vas efferent tubes snipped and then just go right back in? Do they hand you a bag of frozen peas first? I mean, I don't know what the hell the deal is.
It's a good question, but obviously it's set up for the on-the-go Democrat. That doesn't
for that busy Democrat on the go, going down the sidewalk. Hey, you know what? I think I'll pop into this bus.
And it's free. And so if you want to get things snipped and removed and sucked out, it's all free. I really hated that I made that noise. Anyway, there is also a group that set up an 18-foot inflatable IUD. I didn't believe, when I heard this on the radio yesterday, I didn't believe it. I had, again, we vet everything on this show.
That one I haven't seen yet.
I had to go look it up, and it's really, and there was a woman standing next to it smiling, which I thought, anyway, they named this IUD Frida Womb.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my goodness gracious. And a few attendees at the DNC. Now, I did not see pictures of this, but it was by the same people that reported the IUD. They were dressed up as abortion pills. Oh,
good Lord.
I guess if that's your Halloween costume and you got it early, maybe there was a sale on Amazon. I just don't understand why these people are so far off the rails. Oy vey. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just one thing after another. I don't remember. I think it was a friend of Kamala's that was up there talking, again, Project 25 stuff. And it's like, what? I mean, I'm like you. I've read the highlights. I've gone through some of it. It is an ungodly long document. Yeah. But it didn't even have the bullet points. She was saying stuff that's like, what?
Not even close. Not even close.
Yeah, it's like
talking about taking away. Oh, that's one thing she said yesterday. She said that if Trump gets in office, then he's going to ban abortion throughout the country. Well, first of all, he's never said that, and he doesn't have the political power to do that anyway. He is by Roe v. Wade being overturned. It all goes back to the states. He has no say over it. No say. So, I mean, you can, obviously they don't mind lying to you. That's the bottom line.
Like big lies, and say it big and often enough, and they're hoping you will believe it. Well, the left does, because Buck said I got to vote for Kamala because they all bad. I like big Bucks.
That box had a nice LCD screen, though. So, I mean, even though Uncle Joe is out of the race, this came out yesterday, he still seems to find himself in trouble. Trouble that even a vanilla chocolate chip ice cream can't get him out of.
Say that good, Pat.
I thought I could do it. I was wrong.
Anyway,
here's that report.
All new this morning, House Republicans finding President Biden and his family received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities since 2014. Lawmakers call it an impeachable conduct. Brooke Singman is in Chicago with this story. Brooke, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Ainsley. I obtained a copy of this 292-page report from House Republicans. They're on the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means committees, and they've been leading this impeachment inquiry against President Biden for months. So they said their investigation found that President Biden engaged in impeachable conduct and said he abused his office and, quote, defrauded the United States to enrich his family. Republicans revealed that since 2014, the Biden family and its associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities. They also found that while Biden was serving as vice president, the Biden family got more than $8 million in loans from Democratic benefactors. And they say those loans have not been repaid.
That's money laundering, but that's how that's how you do it. You borrow money, you don't pay it back, and that's how it works. Anyway, all these things don't seem like a surprise to me. It seems like that's something that most of us have known for quite a while. They're just coming down on the facts.
They're just finally saying it out loud and allowing us to. I mean, other than other sources that have been saying it for quite some time, selling things like secrets, talking to the Chinese, and hey, what do you need to know? Let us help you out.
Yeah. Hiring Hunter to be on an energy company in Ukraine, getting paid, was it about $1 million a month or something? It was just
it was stupid high. Or hey, we're not going to do this if you don't fire this guy. Well, they fired him. Well, he pretty much told us that one, and just laughed about it. You can't do that.
And the media has overwhelmingly ignored that clip over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, that's corruption out of his own mouth. He's already said what he's done. They were looking into Burisma, where Hunter worked, and he didn't want that because they were corrupt. And of course, Ukraine is just one big bag of corruption anyway. It has been like that for years.
It's horrible.
So anyway, we'll see if that actually gains any traction or not. I'd be surprised if it did, even though it's legitimate. It seems very legitimate now.
Well, it's the end of his presidency, and he's pretty much quit already.
Yeah. He's
just saying.
You don't ever see him anymore. You see him even less now. I guess he just went on. He had this speech last night. They pushed him back to the 11:30 to speak last night. Yeah. So I can't believe he was even awake, but. He took his angry pills. He was screaming and being mad and stuff. So.
Oh, I saw some just a little bit this morning and went, oh, good Lord, because I was not up that late to be watching that garbage.
I didn't watch any of it. So I'm hoping we're going to have some clips next week, because last night was just the first night. And there were some clips from last night. Hillary spoke last night, and she was weird to begin with, but I think she's gotten weirder as she's gotten older.
She's just not relevant anymore.
No.
Oh, are we going to get to Don Lemon? Are we going to get to Don Lemon? Are we? This is so cool.
He traveled all the way to Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is almost another country, and he was having a hard time finding Kamala Harris supporters.
Can't
speak, man. I can't speak. And he seemed a bit surprised. All the oxygen left the room. Here it goes.
Here in Jersey, Atlantic City. Who do you support?
I'll plead the fifth. Trump for the win.
Tell me why.
I can't really call that right now, but I just feel like she's not good for president. She's good vice, but not for the actual lead role for the country.
Does it have anything to do with being a woman?
No.
Money's on Harris.
Yeah.
Who do you want?
Trump.
Why don't you like Harris?
Oh, she don't have any experience.
She's the vice president. She's a senator.
She has no experience.
Well, I want Donald Trump. I just feel we need somebody that has a stronger background with the military and the world in general.
She was a prosecutor and attorney general, and senator, and vice president. You're in a gambling town. Who's your money on?
I'm going to support the Democratic Party, but, Trump looks like he got it in the bag right now.
4 years ago, it was a lot better. I made a lot more money than I do now.
I know you feel that way, but that's not actually what the record shows. The economy is actually better under Biden. No, I'm serious. That's what the facts show.
Okay, you know what?
No, that's not because I watch CNN. Trump or Harris? Trump. That's who's going to win. That's who's going to win.
I don't even know who he is.
I support Trump. All the people that came to this country legally is not fair. In San Diego, they're coming off the boats, off the water right here, off the ocean. Did you know Biden was flying them in? You didn't know that?
Oh, I know nobody likes him, but we had good times with Donald Trump. Our economy was good. Life was good.
But you know the economy is better under Biden than Trump.
Bullshit.
That's what the stats show. That's what the facts show.
Well, you know what? I don't know where they're getting their facts, but I don't think they're valid.
I got to fix that in post, but that's... But she's
why I like that actually. And it's like, I don't know where they're getting their facts from, but they're all made up. The numbers are so manipulated. We've got over 20% inflation year over year from when they started. And all of a sudden we don't even have 3% now because they don't have to pay seniors then any more money. If the inflation goes down, we're going to get like, hey, you old folks, here's a quarter. There you go. You've been suffering. We got a quarter for you.
It kills me, though, that they're still trying to push this whole thing that the economy's better. How can it be better? How can you live in America unless you're some rich dude or woman or whatever? I mean, how can you be alive and have eyes that function and have a brain that halfway functions and not think the economy is in the trash? But, whatever. Apparently seeing
he started his enthusiasm. And did you notice he never said, and why do you want Trump to be in? No, it's why don't you like Kamala?
Yeah.
He always kept going back to the Democratic, and they went, no, because she's a woman. No, because she just sucks. Plain and simple.
She's got no experience. She's got no brain function. Yeah.
Well, she was the most liberal senator in the Senate. She was the most crooked attorney general that they've ever had in California. She put people away that should not have, when she felt like it, the swipe of a pen, as she was saying the other day. Yep. Just a swipe of a pen, I could ruin somebody's life and then take it away 3 months later. But by then, I've already ruined their life. It's so easy to do. And she was laughing about it.
And you don't
really?
You don't think that when she's in charge of the FBI and the DOJ that she won't do the same thing?
It ain't going to be no different. She's got power, and by gum, she's going to use it.
Absolutely. She was kind of giving recently, though. She gave Trump the cheapest and shortest ad in history, and it may be extremely effective. This is only 13 seconds, so pay attention.
A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
That's it. It's over.
I saw that. I went, that's the best ad ever. Thank you for making our point. Really appreciate it. And you guys have done a good job in helping the Trump campaign.
We could put a disclaimer on the end of that and still not make 30 seconds. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. Well, we need a palate cleanser after today.
Let's see if we can get it done.
Richard sent me 2 of these this week, and I appreciate that. Paul Harvey has the rest of the story about money. And let me see if we get it. And here is
the rest of the story. And now I'm going to test your knowledge of United States currency, and you may be surprised at how little you recall. Whose face appears on the $1 bill? Oh, you got that right, Washington. On the $5 bill, right again, Lincoln. How about the 10? Hamilton. The 20? Jackson. It's getting tougher now. Who's depicted on the $50 bill? Ulysses Grant. On the $100 bill, Ben Franklin. Oh, yes, there are higher denominations of United States paper currency, although federal regulations demand that should a bank come into the possession of such currency, the bill or bills must be handed over to the regional Federal Reserve Bank. And yet, while such paper money is technically out of circulation, it's still legal tender. Try to change one of those bills at a bank, however, and it, perhaps you as well, will be examined stem to stern. On the $500 bill, there's a picture of President William McKinley. On the $1,000 bill, President Grover Cleveland. On the $5,000 bill, President James Madison. On the $10,000 bill, 19th century United States Supreme Court Justice Salmon Chase. And finally, the $100,000 bill, the highest ever denomination of United States currency. Thereon is depicted President Woodrow Wilson. But we're not finished. As any racetrack habitué would inform you, there's also a $2 bill. And on this otherwise seldom seen, yet no less legal tender, one finds the picture of Thomas Jefferson. And there is one more bill that we have overlooked. The $3 bill. Oh, it's genuine.
Richard
American
Simmons.
currency. Despite the threadbare simile, which implies nothing could be phonier, never in a million years would you guess who is depicted on the $3 bill. So, I'm going to have to tell you the rest of the story. Once upon a time,
kangaroo.
Banks all over the country issued their own currency. Even after the National Bank Act of 1863 imposed a 10% tax on such notes, Many banks continue to make their own money perfectly legally. By 1935, the national banks had transferred this power to the Federal Reserve, and yet throughout most of our nation's history, bank-issued currency, now relegated to myriad numismatic collections, was as legal a tender as any. The banks issued every denomination of paper money now in circulation, plus one, the $3 bill. Specific designs varied from bank to bank, but one design was used more than any other. And that preeminent picture was, as is those on current currency, of someone you have known all of your life. He appeared on the $3 bills issued by the Howard Banking Company of Boston and the Central Bank of Troy and the Pittsfield Bank and the White Mountain Bank and One Manhattan Bank, a bank bearing the name of the man on the $3 bill. The St. Nicholas Bank of New York City. Yes, I do mean to tell you that the person whose image was once upon a time absolutely lawfully engraved on the dead serious 100% legitimate $3 bill was Santa Claus. And now you know the rest of the story.
Why, I had my own money. Anyway.
I remember they used to have the $1 bill. I've seen that with Santa Claus on it. That was probably when I was a kid. I remember seeing that. They would give them out as Christmas presents. Of course, $1 meant something back then, but yeah, I remember those.
Well, I grew up always hearing, phonier than a $3 bill. I thought it was just fun. No, I didn't know we actually had one.
The word I always heard was queer as a $3 bill. That's why I threw Richard Simmons in there. But anyway, it was, it was, I didn't know it was real. I mean, I learned that today. So anyway, we hope you had fun and were somewhat informed like we did, like we were,
or used to be, or might be, or
as long as I keep my head out of the sand, I'm good. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, Smart Speaker, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Or you can just go to our good old website, stayoffmylawn.us, for all our past and present episodes.
I like the old man voice. You should do that more often. Stay off my lawn. We'll see you next week, folks.
Doodles, thanks for listening, people. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Well, mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.